Hello, welcome to Relatively Ordinary. I'm Betsy.
I'm Carl.
How's it going, Carl?
I am fantastic.
Guess what today is?
I'm wearing my birthday suit.
You're wearing your birthday. Well, not really. He is dressed, folks. But you are wearing your athleisure, matching top-bottom athleisure suit, which is your birthday suit number 2, I guess.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. It's more socially appropriate than the other birthday suit.
Yes. Although we might have more viewers if you were naked or less. I don't know.
I mean, you might get more people to tune in initially.
Yes,
Can
and they'll
you
drop
retain
off
the audience?
in a few seconds.
I don't think you can retain the audience.
They'll just be trolls after that. So happy birthday.
Thank you.
29.
Yeah. Yeah, 20. No,
44.
Yeah.
Actually, when we were
That'd be rough math when you put the kids' ages into it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. That wouldn't go over very well. So we were doing your birthday present, which kind of got botched. I'll just put it out there. Most of your birthday presents going forward are going to be half-assed at best. We did try. We did. I tried. They tried.
You know, we're gonna have some friends today getting together.
We got the most meaningful thing
Your
coming.
presence is my present.
Oh, that's
bullshit. I mean, no, it's not though. I mean, seriously, as you get older, you realize that, spending time with the people you love is more important than anything, especially when, we're lucky and privileged enough to have almost all of the things that we could ever want to make happy.
No, I agree. Yeah, I know that's the point where it was really difficult to buy my parents gifts because the minute they mention like, oh, that's neat, they buy it the next day.
Yeah.
And you're like, what the hell do I get you? Yeah. But visiting them is all they ever wanted. But yes, I was putting together your birthday present and we did these little cards and the kids drew things and all that and tried to make it cute. And as Jack and I were deciding how old you were, which I should know because you're very close to my age.
It's very easy math.
It's very easy math. And yes, I know I could have the year, although that's not easy math for my brain, okay? Don't make me feel bad. But I was thinking about our 40th birthday and how we waited till the summer to celebrate and we did a pool party. And I was thinking that was just 2 years ago. So how has it been 4 years since
time flies?
Yep, I know, and that was 2021. Wow. Well, it would have technically we would have celebrated it in 22. Okay,
yeah.
But still,
yeah,
that was a while ago.
Yeah, it's 3 years ago, 3+.
My gosh,
yeah,
crazy.
Yep.
All right, so yeah, happy birthday.
Yeah. Well, thank you. So. You got the main topic for today.
Mm-hmm.
I have the fun topic, which I am literally making up right now.
Because you're like, shit, I was supposed to do something.
What I want you to do
is sing you happy birthday. I'll do it.
No, I don't. What I want you to do is to tell me.
I'll do it sultry.
Your favorite attribute of an animal from the air, the ground, and the water.
Oh, that's such a weird question. Okay, my favorite attribute from an animal in the air, the freedom they have to soar. By the way, I was driving down the highway to work the other day, and I saw a bald eagle swoop into the lane I was driving in, probably like 100 yards ahead of me. And then swoop back up. There was nothing in the road, though. It was almost like it just wanted to dive bomb and scare the bejesus out of everyone driving. But yes, the freedom to soar. Okay, and then ground. My favorite attribute of an animal on the ground. I think it's really cool, at least in northern climates, how they create these burrows in the winter and the layers of the frost heaves of the ground and then the snow pile. Mm-hmm. That's pretty cool and, innovative for survival. All right. And then in the water, I mean, they can literally live underwater. They don't need oxygen. How cool is that?
They? I disagree on the oxygen.
Well, they're, I don't know how it works. I'm not a marine biologist, but creatures who live under the sea, maybe they're getting oxygen from the water, but yes. Yeah. But but they have to filter it through the water.
Yeah.
So they don't need air, I guess is the better term. Sorry.
Air as we know it.
Jesus, I didn't know I was going to be scrutinized on my scientific prowess on this topic. Jeez, I thought this was fun.
Yeah.
Now I'm feeling like you're testing me. Go screw. I don't even want to know your answers.
It's not like a mystery here. Not like an unknown mystery to science.
All right. Well, thanks for making that more miserable than it needed to be.
That's funny.
How about you?
Well, I'm going to go with an octopus and their ability to change shape. They've been described as having a liquid body, which is just like mind blowing. They can spread out and, be like 30 feet wide, and then they can fit into this coffee cup. And it's
I have
pretty
a
wild.
book you should read that it's nonfiction, but it's...
Is it the ABC of ocean animals?
Yes. But it talks a lot about how octopi... Is it octopi?
Sure.
Yeah. Live.
Yep.
And what cool creatures they are. Okay, go ahead.
On the ground, I think turtles are cool as hell. I mean, they're just slow moving, but they kind of have this... I don't know. There's something about turtles. They just have, when you encounter a turtle, you feel this kind
being
of like
very specific
kinship
on your animals
to them, right? And they seem to have like a personality that humans
turtles are
grasp.
Cool. They're
cool.
so cute too.
And they live really long, and they just have their own they just kind of go at their own pace.
I wouldn't mind being a turtle.
And then in the air, I think the ability for birds, an eagle or a hawk, to be able to see prey or carry on from hundreds of feet up in the air and just hone in on it, and that's super cool. So
neat.
So imagine an animal that could do all those things.
All three. Whoa.
Okay, cool.
It's like when you're a child and you get to draw your animal fusions.
Like a shucktopus.
Yes. Yes. So you would need to combine an octopus, a turtle, and some sort of and a hawk.
Yeah.
All right, you work on what you would call that.
Hawk-to-turtle.
Hawk-to-turtle. I love it.
Yeah.
I knew you'd come up with something.
Hawk-to-turtle.
Hawk-to-turtle. When you pause for a minute and you zone out, I'm like, he's going to come up with something good.
Yeah.
A hawk-to-turtle. How would you spell that?
I'm going to draw that later.
You can draw that later.
Yeah.
Okay. That will be your birthday fun time.
Yep.
Drawing a hawk-to-turtle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sweet. Okay. All right. So for our main topic... It's not going to be as fun, but it's something
we're going to have to get serious.
Just going to have to get a little serious, but it's something that has been relevant to my life and those around me recently. But I think it's very relevant to everyone. Okay, so today's topic is burnout.
Oh, okay. Yep. Yeah, we know burnout.
We know burnout.
We know burnout.
All right, in a world shaped by constant productivity pressures, demanding life roles, and the expectation to always be reachable through technology, which I find has even worsened since the pandemic. Many people feel pushed to do more in less time. I personally hate having time pressing matters, and that's every day, all the time, and it just kills me. These expectations come not only from outside, but from also, within ourselves, the standards we place on ourselves, and it can manifest in different ways, leading to declining health, irritability, difficulty sleeping, dreading work, or feeling out of balance. So that work-life balance, if such a thing can exist. For some, it can contribute to anxiety, depression, and post-traumatic stress disorder. From what we know about chronic stress from burnout, it can lead to structural changes in the brain, which is really interesting science that I've read about, and it impacts cognition, memory, and emotional regulation, which I can say is true because I feel like I've experienced this. And while we are aware of the causes and risk factors, I'm sure this is not new information to you, nearly 50% of American workers experience burnout. And so I'm bringing up this issue because I've personally experienced burnout worse than normal. I mean, I have juggled a lot of hats before and have felt the stress of lots of things in my life, but the roller coaster with continuous onslaught of demands was really bad for a while, and it causes you to just crash. And I also have a close friend and colleague who went through significant burnout and then had a need to work with medical providers and take a leave of absence, and it's valid. it is 100% valid. It was a really challenging situation to be placed into. And I don't think that's very unique to people. I think we all experience this at some point. And for us, probably a smaller percentage, it can lead to significant problems. So my first question to you, thinking about society at large, how do cultural expectations around productivity, achievement, and constant availability contribute to burnout? And we think about, what society places on us.
Yeah, I mean, constant connectivity is huge, and that's a thing that is obviously very, very new to our society and humans.
And our generation, I think,
we don't
workers.
There's no, analog to this. There's nothing quite like it. And I remember, so I've experienced that burnout where it's led to, health issues and mental health issues twice very dramatically in my life. The first time was in probably 2010, 2011. And it was right after smartphones became ubiquitous. I was working at a demanding tech industry job at a, fast growing startup. The work was intense, but it also was, it was thrilling and exciting and interesting. Not only was happening in my job, but was happening in the world and just the, social media and the smartphones and all that. But we really hadn't, we still don't. 15 years later, we still don't have the real skills to cope with it.
No.
But then it was like so brand new, and it was like, this is great, but also no guardrails whatsoever. So not only was all of us were in it, but like I was in the industry that was creating it.
Yeah.
And
so the expectations were probably even higher.
Yeah. And I mean, literally the product that my company worked on was for bringing that type of always on communication to the workplace. And I still think that is overall a net good thing, but you have to control it and have boundaries around it. And so at the time, there wasn't even a lot of options for shutting off notifications. So, you'd be in the office and like, you'd just be ping, 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 all the time. And then you go home and ping, ping, ping. And I was in a role when, I would be on call from time to time. And so for an entire week, at any point, I could get a call that was like, okay, you got to work on this thing for the next 6 hours.
Yeah.
There were times I would get calls at 3 a.m. because someone's server went down, and I was getting up and I was working, and then I was going and working a full day. And, we had
a young child
and another one on the way.
Yeah.
So that, I definitely experienced that. And I think that, again, we don't have, our brains evolved to be, threat.
Yeah.
Interesting. Like opportunity to mate, opportunity to get food, opportunity to, improve our condition or take care of a threat or whatever. And that's the part of our brain that's responding when we get all this stimulus.
Yes.
And it's not proportional to what it actually means, which, most of it is garbage. Like we don't need to respond to this stuff immediately.
Yeah.
And I'm doing it this week because of all of the stuff that's dropping about the Epstein files and all of that. And I'm just like, I'm interested because,
You set alerts to get updates on that stuff?
No, I'm getting social media, like I go on Instagram and then everything in my Instagram feed is news updates and influencers that are talking about, what's going on. And I find it very interesting because I'm, I like history and I like being involved, kind of up to date on current events, but I also like the dopamine hits of like, ooh, what's going to happen next?
Yeah.
All that, and all this salacious stuff that's coming out. And, I even as I'm doing it, I know what I'm doing. I know I'm getting sucked into the stream of it.
But you're having to fight
but
it.
I'm like, or I'm just like, I'm going to surrender for the next 30 minutes and just zone out and,
Yeah, no, it's true. Well, that brings up a good point about boundaries and, setting expectations. How much do you think it's your personal responsibility to do it versus a workplace expectation, right? Because you know, I've seen where people put like, my working hours are not your working hours and blah, blah, blah. There's nothing I hate more than getting a pressing email where I need to do something that takes quite a bit of time on a Friday at 5:30 p.m. Yeah. And it seriously happens more than I'd like to admit. And I would never want to do that to someone else. But that's the type of thing. Where do the boundaries come from in your life?
Well, I do think, you know, I want to say unfortunately, but I don't think that's even accurate. Like, I do think everyone has a responsibility to carve those boundaries for themselves.
Yes.
And I do think that it's hard to do. And the less, you know, social status you have, workplace status you have, the harder it is for you to be like, nope, sorry, not doing that.
Yeah.
You know, I'm at a point in my career now where, you know, I'm not taking any opportunity I have for granted, but I've been there, done that enough that I know what's important. And me giving you a crappy response to this email at 5 p.m. on a Friday is worse than me saying, you know what, I'm going to get back to you first thing Monday morning. Mm-hmm. But, you know, I definitely wasn't that guy 15 years ago. I would have been like, okay, I'm going to delay dinner, or I'm going to stay up, you know, late and not go to bed on time so that I can take care of this thing right now.
Yeah.
And, you know, honestly, it's rarely worth it. Again, you know,
because there's always going to be more stuff coming down the pike. So you can't, I don't know. It's also boundaries on what you can and cannot do realistically. Yeah. I think sometimes there needs to be pushback to say, look, I know it feels like this productivity is what's expected at work, but I don't know. Yeah. Quantity doesn't equal quality.
Yeah. Well, I think
what's the end game?
It's the addiction to busyness, I think, is the problem. You know, where it's like, if I'm busy, then I'm important and I'm doing something. And I think you have to resist that. I think ultimately, you know, good managers, good leaders in a company will help shield their team from that and help sort of set an expectation of like, we've set a goal for the week, the month, the quarter, the year, 5-year plan, whatever it is. That's what we're marching towards. So if this thing, and it will happen, there's going to be times when it's this thing that is critical to hitting our quarter goal needs you to respond to it right now at 5 p.m. on a Friday, then that's the time that you make an exception. You say, look, I'm going to put aside my dinner plans or whatever, if that's your priority in life, right? And you do it. But I think what happens is when you don't have that clarity and that level of long-term thinking, and I think, so again, some of that is our own prioritization, our own lives too, you don't know how to differentiate between urgency and importance and triviality. Mm-hmm.
I also realize you never get through a to-do list.
Yeah, right. It's always just growing.
It's always growing. All right, so if we shift a little bit and talk about community, we got into this a little bit, but, you know, how do workplaces, which we've talked about, schools or social groups, either buffer stress or intensify it? So getting a sense of, you know, and we could even spin it and talk about the pressures our kids experience at school, we as parents to support our kids, social groups and expectations. I think we're also scheduled, which is another part of it too. If we shift away from work and we think about how our family does things, that if it's unscheduled, yes, you can still be productive, but it feels like a different productivity. It might be, you know, tidying the kitchen, which to me actually feels good use of my time if it's a mess. But this need to, if there's too much downtime, we've got to schedule something. We've got to, you know, make sure we're accomplishing X, Y, Z in a day. I don't know. What do you think about all that?
Yeah, I mean, I think again, it absolutely, we do that. You know, I do it. I see one of our children doing it. I think you know which one.
Yes, not both.
And
one of them we could take a tip from as far as
I mean, the other one,
chillax.
It's like he's got it down. Like, you know, we all should be learning from him. I mean, I think we definitely are. We don't know where to draw the line and what is important and what to let go. You know, we always try to fill time and do too much. And, you know, if I'm cooking dinner, I'm like, can I listen to a podcast while I cook dinner? You know, and that's okay if you're very conscious about it. But if you're like, I have to like do these 5 things and I have to cook dinner, and now you're doing Dinnercise.
By the way, what is Dinnercise?
Patent pending.
For our listeners, what is Dinnercise, Carl?
Well, you should be the one. You, as the inventor and key proponent of Dinnercise.
Is it fair for me to do a little sidebar about what it is?
Yeah, you should talk to people about Dinnercise.
So when, as a busy mom and wanting to cook a healthy meal for the family, but also needing to do some exercise during the day, I would combine the two. So, for instance, I'd chop the veggies, and while they were sauteing, I would do some push-ups or some squats, maybe some jumping jacks.
I mean, that is ultimate efficiency right there.
And then I had this inspiration of, creating my own brand of something called Dinnercise. It would be healthy meals and exercise. I still don't think it's been invented as far as sort of a social media influencer doing
I just think
Dinnercise.
if you had like tight little booty shorts.
Of course, I'd have to dress as sexy as possible.
Yeah.
But, you get what you get.
Yeah. Dinnercise is a good example, right?
Wait, by the way, I always wear leggings and a crop top when I cook dinner.
Totally.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, totally.
Who doesn't? Okay.
And makeup. Don't forget the makeup.
Oh, the makeup and cleavage or whatever I got.
Yeah. It's that addiction to productivity and always doing something. It's not unhealthy, right? It's like great that we are able to have so many options to, get more information and educate ourselves and use our brains, but it just gets to be a lot, right? It's like
totally.
I like Duolingo, right? Like I love my Duolingo streak. I'm approaching 1,000 days.
Yesterday,
and they'll give you 5 chances to keep your streak alive. But it's actually a really good break for me to do something like that every single day. But it's also very easy to be, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, and especially when it comes to New Year's resolutions, and you're like, every day I'm going to, journal and go for a jog and blah, blah, blah. And then you get to a point where you're like, you can't do it. You can't.
No, behavior change doesn't happen like that anyway. I don't like the New Year's resolution thing personally. Yeah, I had an experience recently. I think it was last weekend, and there was some downtime. I literally had done what I had set out to do and could have just sat on the couch and done nothing, but I couldn't. I literally couldn't stop.
No, sometimes I seriously, and this is like, Buddhist meditation at its most simplest form is sitting and doing nothing.
Yeah.
And that is the hardest goddamn thing to do. It is the hardest thing
we're not
to
wired
sit
to do
and
that.
do nothing. And literally we are not, right? Like that's not just even our modern thing or what the Buddhists call Western monkey brain. This is like how humans are wired. I mean, it's literally how we're wired. There's a lot of research about this in neuroscience. If you sit there, inevitably something is going to start to itch. You're going to have a nagging thing you're going to put on your to-do list. And so I think it's a really good practice, and I'm not good at it, but it's a really good practice to occasionally just sit and do nothing. I try to do that actually every morning. I noticed before 8 a.m. I try not to look at a screen and pick up my phone.
Sometimes you're not even awake before 8 a.m.
I know.
Oh, so that's what's happening.
That's part of it. If you're asleep, that's great. Yeah. I do my best meditation when I'm sleeping.
That's probably true for me too. So, to stick with the community theme here, how do you think communities respond? Do you feel like you have support if you're struggling, from... If we think about, no, it could be work. No. Simple answer, no.
No.
And do you think there's a message that's reinforced to push through from the stuff that the peer influence that you get from your community?
Well,
and the social structure.
I think that
is it okay to admit you're struggling or to talk about this?
In terms of places where somebody actually can help, it's work is an obvious one, right? So if you have a manager or a leader who notices that you're struggling, you're burning out, and if you are a manager or leader, you can try to do this for your team or your colleagues and just say, hey, that thing, I know you got a lot on your plate right now. How can I help you prioritize it? Like that was the thing I was trying to do when I'm managing, is just to say you seem like you're flailing. You've got a lot of stuff going on. How can we prioritize the things that you need to do versus the things that are just keeping you busy? And if we can kind of take and make 2 lists, and if it's on this side of the list, you should focus on it. If it's on this side of the list, then send it to me.
I think more managers need to do that.
Yeah.
Or
managers
need to encourage their workforce
I mean,
to do it.
there is an
or
absolute
maybe just individuals
crisis in management right now. Management is absolutely underappreciated, under-resourced, underinvested in, and really not supported in any way.
Do you mean more middle management or just throughout the administrative chain?
I mean, anything up to, your C-suite, and that's a different set of problems there.
Like there needs to be more coaching and support for management in order.
Yeah, and appreciation for the level of skill and talent it takes to do it right. I mean, I think there's it's crazy because this is a tangent I can go off on all day, but there was a thing from I think it was like a business book that was written in the 70s. There's a concept called the Peter Principle of people get promoted to their level of incompetence. So if you're really good at your job, you get promoted to the next job. If you're good at that one, you get promoted to the next job. But what happens is inevitably you're going to get to a level where you can't be promoted anymore.
Yep.
You get stuck there.
Did Peter come up with this?
Somebody, his last name was Peters.
Okay.
The corollary to that is that a lot of times in a lot of companies and a lot of, it's not just business, right? I think it probably happens in the military, happens in, hospitals and other things, but people who are good at their individual contributor role get promoted into a management or a leadership position, and they may not be good at that, right? Yeah. There's people who aren't necessarily good at the individual contributor thing that are great managers and vice versa, but there is no guarantee that being good at one is going to make you good at the other.
Yeah. Or I think that this is where it's a role shift. You're taking on a different job. It's a different discipline. It's a completely different job. Yeah. Yeah. So it's a different profession almost. And, I think about when I shift from clinical work to teaching, I required some mentorship. I sought it out myself. I got support from work, and it took time. So I think that should be a requirement, but often you sort of get plopped there and there's an urgency and you just have to go. And then again, burnout. So you're burned out. How are you supposed to support your employees? Yeah.
Yeah. And the problem is, and again, it kind of goes back to this, our perceptions of what productivity means and all of that. Yeah. And there's an idea that management, and it's, you've got you think about the managers from Dilbert or Office Space, and this stereotype of the kind of vacant, know-nothing, busybody manager. They do exist. So it's not every manager in the world is some under-resourced hero struggling against the machine. But, I think, unfortunately, that ends up being the predominant stereotype that people have about management. And then on a balance sheet, it looks like overhead. It's like, this is administrative overhead. Why are we paying this person so much money? Yeah. And they are not even the one who builds the widget or does the customer service or whatever. They just manage the people who do it. Yeah. And then they end up getting, reduction in force. And now you have managers managing 12, 20, 30 people. It's too much, right? And then the managers get burned out, the people get burned out, and, it becomes kind of a vicious cycle.
All right. So we've already, it's hard to not relate this to personal situations because, it's how you perceive on the society and community level. But I'm going to ask you some questions about your personal challenges with burnout. You ready?
Sure. Let's do it.
I'm just joking. It's not
nothing I'd rather talk about on my birthday than adrenal burnout.
What internal signs or patterns help you recognize when you're approaching burnout?
That's a great question. So sleep is a big thing for me. If I'm not sleeping... If
your sleep's disrupted by stress.
If I'm not sleeping well, I can't fall asleep, which is really the last... I never have a problem falling asleep anymore. I used to for a long time.
But how about the waking up early in the panic? Way too early. Your mind's reeling in the middle of the night.
Well, this is when I had my,
I hate that.
My second burnout was earlier this year. Every morning I would wake up at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, couldn't fall back asleep.
Sucks so hard.
And my mind would be racing, and then I'd fall asleep when it was time for me to wake up. And then I would either have to drag my ass out of bed or just say screw it and get a couple hours of sleep and then show up to work late. Yeah. And, fortunately I have a little bit of flexibility with working from home around what going to work late means, but
and West Coast hours.
Yeah. But, that sucks. So when my sleep is not right, that is always a sign. And then it always manifests itself in, okay, I'm trying to go for a cup of coffee at 4:00 in the afternoon, which of course becomes part of the cycle where I'm not going to fall asleep that night because of the late caffeine. I also just get, I stop doing some of the things, eating habits become really bad.
Just don't have the capacity
to
manage that.
There's a lot of research about that of when you don't sleep well, you start to do things like stress eating and making poor choices.
Affects
and then
your
that
GI system
snowballs into more bad sleep, and then it becomes cyclical.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's true. And then, I'm sure it has an impact on your mood and then your work, your productivity, your excitement to be doing the job that you're doing, your relationships with your coworkers and your family and your friends.
I mean, one of the biggest things that I've noticed in the last couple years that I've really tried to very consciously try to shift in my life is that for a long time, I had carved out a niche for myself in my career because I could take on complex problems with high stress, people, internal stakeholders, client stakeholders, high technical complexity, multiple teams involved, and get everyone to calm down, pull out the relevant facts, come up with a plan, drive a plan execution, and get out of that crisis. Which is it's a valuable skill to have. And, you're always going to be employable if you have some technical skills in your industry and you can do that. But what also happens is it broke, fix it. Everyone comes to you. You never know. Every day, you never know what's going to happen. You just show up to work and it's like, oh, great, that's broken. Let's go fix it. And it's not a long-term lifestyle. That is and it's like you think about what other non-tech industry, who are people that do that? Like police officers do that, ER docs do that. And a lot of times these are jobs where you think about a police officer, you have a 20-year career and then you get a pension and you retire, 25 years, right? So a lot of those types of jobs, they're not 40-year careers very intentionally because nobody can do that. Nobody can sustain that.
No, that would be really difficult.
So I've tried to be much more conscious about shifting towards if I'm not in control of my day, if I'm just kind of, oh, what meeting is next? Oh, crap, I didn't prepare for that meeting.
Yes, I have days like that too.
I know something's wrong, right? And I need to shift the balance back towards being more proactive, giving myself the time and space so that I can show up intentionally to a meeting instead of just being like on the fly figuring it out.
Well, do you have those situations though? I mean, I would love that. Those are the days where I feel imbalanced. I know it's coming. I'm prepared for it. I can think days ahead. On Friday, I feel good about what's coming Monday. But there are times where I am running around. All the shit is just boom, 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 boom. I'm unprepared. I'm faking it. I'm, just lucky that I'm in the right place at the right time. And so I have no idea what's coming. I have no idea what just went. And you feel like there's no opportunity to catch up. And sometimes I have no choice in the matter. I guess I have choice. I could quit my job or I could say I'm not doing that. But at the same rate, there's a certain workload that is expected of me. That is well defined in my career. So it's not always possible. And then those are the times where I come home and it's supposed to be my decompress time and I can't because I'm reeling. And
then you work until 11:30.
Yeah. And then you
sleep enough.
You need to recollect what's going on. And I just sometimes don't see a way out of that.
Yeah. Well, I when I start having fantasies about being a hermit in the woods more than once a week, that's always a good sign that I need to
take a vacation,
take a little break from stuff. I mean, I think no matter what, there's always going to be days like that, but I think there is,
Mama if it's said always there'll be days like that.
If it's always like that, there always has to be a musical interlude.
I know. I can't help it.
Yeah. I think if there's, if that's happening all the time, it's a sign that, you're not on a good path. But to kind of go back to how I'm approaching it, one of the conscious things that I've tried to do is to really get much more intentional about goal setting and thinking about if I'm feeling like I'm not in control of what's happening, taking a step back and being, okay, am I still on track, the track that I set for myself for a longer term goal and longer term vision about my life and the things that are important to me? Or am I getting away from that because of the constant, tyranny of the urgent?
No, I think, and that takes time and space. For me to you do that really well. I think for me, and this is probably true for others, for me to think like that, I need to have some time and space and to put the mental energy to thinking big picture. I'm not a naturally big picture thinking
I don't
about
think
my
you
thinking.
spend enough time giving yourself that time and space.
No, and it's hard because what I need is just leave me alone. There's no time pressure to be any place or do anything in the short term. And this is what I'm dedicating my energy towards. And it's really hard to do that. I think I'm so used to the multitasking, problem solving, get shit done, check off the to-do list, the dinner sizing. And so when that happens, though, I have learned, at least, like, I have my philosophy for my professional work, right? I've got my personal mission, and I have learned, because I've gotten, to this point in my career, and I have, influences in different spheres. I get asked to do a lot of things, and I get exposed to a lot of things that are fun and interesting, and you can't say yes to it all, even though you want to. I have over-yesed myself, and then I find myself doing things. I'm like, why the fuck am I doing this? I don't want to be here. I don't think I'm the best person for it. I don't have the energy or capacity. I'm only going to make things worse because I can't fulfill the promises that I made. And so it's important for me to reflect on, okay, what was that philosophy that I have written for myself, and does it align with those things? And if not, is it a not right now thing? I just simply say no, or do I need to reshape what my long-term strategy is? But it does take time and space, and sometimes you just have a moment to respond because you don't want to leave someone hanging. That expectation to be and do and help and support is usually a quick turnaround. So I don't know. That's just my issue, in case you were wondering. So I'm curious, you talked a little bit about this, but how you've created boundaries to help restore energy, meaning, or balance in your own life. And you've talked about it more professionally, but I don't know if you have other practices. I think I'm familiar with them.
Well,
it might be fun if I try to describe your practices and then you laugh and say they're wrong.
Go for it.
All right. Extended bathroom time. Is that a practice?
No.
To restore energy, meaning, and balance in your own...
bathroom time? No.
No? Okay. Journaling?
Yes, journaling. Yeah.
Going on walks with a doggo?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, I think there's
spending time in nature.
Trying to be intentional and conscious about the time you spend in nature, going on a dog walk. So it's not just
nature prescription.
Yeah, trying to when I take the dog for a walk, I try to either completely be in the moment. That is my walking meditation.
Yeah.
Or I have a specific thought or problem I'm trying to solve as I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
And I do talk to myself a lot, as you know.
Yes.
And I will have a full conversation while I'm walking the dog and solve a problem that I couldn't solve at my desk.
I wish I didn't have to commute, but that is a good time when I'm commuting. If there was something I didn't have the chance to noodle on at work or home, I'll do it while I'm driving. Everything's quiet. I can control the environment and I can just talk out loud, script something, or just try to process what happened. Okay, let me think. What's another one? Creating some sort of yummy beverage and sitting with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's another.
Although they're not always yummy. It's like mud water.
Oh, it's so good.
Ugh.
So good.
But you have your beverage template. All right. How about, you also, what else do you do? I don't know. The extended bathroom time seems like it's important.
I don't spend a lot of time in the bathroom. I don't know where that's going from.
No, there are just times where I'm like, where's Carl? And you're in the bathroom.
I mean, it is the bulk of my social media time is I try, and that's also like, you know, I try.
Oh, so it's not necessarily a good practice.
Well, I try to constrain it to that, right? One way to time box your social media time is a time box.
I got 5 minutes.
Yeah, and you know,
ooh,
that bathroom can become a hot box if you're not careful. So you don't want to spend too much time in there.
Ew. Sauna. Taking a sauna.
Yeah, sauna's great.
Yeah, doing the sauna.
I mean, the sauna is like truly great because it's too hot to think. So you reach a point where you actually
You're just
can't.
trying to survive.
Yeah, it just becomes about slowing down your, you know, metabolic process and, you know, your breathing and just be.
Okay, last idea is when you get busy kind of sorting and doing miscellaneous things, like making this sign. Mm-hmm. It's not miscellaneous. This was important.
But, very important.
But yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Did I miss any?
No, I mean, I think that's good. The only thing I add on this point is one of the, you know, I'm also not a big New Year's resolution person, but maybe not for the same reason as you. My thought is just that why would I have arbitrary goals set at some arbitrary date? Like, ultimately, it doesn't really mean that much to change the calendar from December to January.
Isn't that based on the like ancient Greek calendar? What is the?
It's based on going around the sun.
Yes, but it's based on going around the sun. But the way that being the new year, you could say, you know, July 1st is the new year.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, it would make a lot more sense to do it based on the solstice, right?
Oh, yeah, that's true.
But, you know, that's neither here nor there. But
off topic.
Yeah, I try to do my goals in terms of OKRs because I'm a big nerd. And
okay, for the listeners, what's an OKR?
Objective and key results. So this is a system that Google made famous. And there's a book, I think the guy's name is John Doerr. And so it's a great system.
Google, the company, not the search engine, which are related, but I just wanted to be clear. It's M&I didn't come up with
right,
OKR.
The search engine is not sentient. It is just software. So it's actually very simple. You know, it's one of those things. It doesn't need a 280-page book or however long the book is to explain it. It's a pretty simple concept, but
that's long.
What it does is it decouples. You always talk about goals being like SMART goals, right? Specific, measurable, actionable, result-oriented, time-bound, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Achievable, not actionable.
Different people have different takes on what that means, but
that could be a separate podcast.
Yeah,
that could be a separate 280-page book.
Doesn't matter. But one of the goals that I set, or one of the objectives that I have, is to reframe personal success. And I came up with that one specifically because there'd be times when, you know, I would look at like my weight on the scale or my bank account or my retirement savings or where I am in my career or, you know, had a bad baseball game or whatever, and I'd be like, man, I suck. And take it at a much more existential level than just like I'm having a bad day and this is a down moment in an otherwise great trajectory. And again, kind of like the OKR thing is you have these objectives that are specifically not SMART goals. The objective is more, how do you envision this thing turning out? And the objective should be something that is aspirational. So, you know, reframing personal success is not something that I can necessarily measure. How do I measure that? But you can pick specific key results that are measurable. And it could be something as dumb as, and this is not an example, but, you know, it could be like, I'm not going to step on the freaking scale. I'm going to take that scale and I'm going to throw it out the goddamn garbage because I don't care about what it says.
Maybe we just donate it.
Yeah, but you know, that's a stupid example, but the point is like you recognize that this is not helping me get to that objective, which is I want to feel good about myself in the overall arc of my life. And every time I get this like little bit of micro feedback that's actually not even tied to that, it makes me not feel good. So I just want to remove that negative stimulus from my life.
Okay, so it's also about, I like that, removing the negative stimulus.
Yeah. So
cool. Yeah. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for summarizing a long book.
Yeah. Well, there's a certain executive leader from a certain company that I worked for in the past that I am not a big fan of. But this person did say one thing that I thought spot on and I really appreciate was almost all business books are like one really good idea and then like 300 wasted pages.
Yeah.
And I totally agree with that.
You can summarize it. You can have a key statement.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's what we do in research too. You have to have all of this robust information to justify doing it, and then your data, and then your analysis, and your discussion, and what are the limitations. But there usually is a key takeaway, and that's what the reader wants.
Yeah. And in fairness to the research, a lot of times the research is necessary. In the business books, it's often just filler.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Okay. So, good discussion thus far. What are you still chewing on? Well, I'm still chewing on the fact that I would love to build an app because that's how I work. I think that all problems can be solved with software, which is not true, but... Is this the app that you're working on? No. Okay. I would love to build an app that helps people... Another app. ...with goal setting and tying that into their daily life. And I think there's a lot of potential using LLMs for people to have natural language conversations with an agent who is there as their personal assistant, able to help them focus on it. And be able to give you sort of that feedback of like, hey, you're having a tough day and you're ranting about these things, but those don't seem important to your overall goals. Why don't you go take a walk, pour yourself a glass of wine, do whatever it is to help you reset, and then we'll come back and tackle these goals. So something I'm kicking around. I'd love to do that. Okay. All right. That's interesting. Like it. Okay. And then what's something that feels relatively ordinary? Well, I think just again that this is ultimately one of those things that a lot of the, what's the word I'm looking for, dissonance that we feel with this in our lives is because we as humans, as animals, are not, we did not evolve to be able to handle the stresses and time pressures and stimulus of the world that we've created with all this technology. Yeah. And I think that that's a big reason why it's so overwhelming for us. And, we don't have the coping skills to deal with it. That brings up an interesting point because we, our kids are exposed to technology at a young age. And I'm not talking about throwing the phone in their hands to distract them in the store for 5 minutes. I mean, that is an exposure, but it's the expectation to be on their computers and to be working and following along through their Google Classrooms, as an example. And that happens in middle school. And it's great because technology is the way the world works. But I think it also sets this expectation that, there's this demand to be available and to keep up with us and to be productive. Each of our kids had a sick day, but they were doing a mountain of schoolwork in order to stay on top of things, meanwhile being sick. And I think we expose that to young minds too, which can be even more devastating. So the teaching boundaries and building awareness is really important. And then enforcing them and modeling them. It's so hard. Yeah. It's so hard. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's, at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, you want to model this stuff for your kids, but we don't have it all figured out. We're just trying to, it sounds a little dramatic to say we're trying to make ends meet because we have a pretty comfortable life, but still, as I have posited, we are working class in terms of if we stop working, we don't put food on the table. Yeah. We don't have a house to live in. Yeah. So, we're still figuring it out where we don't necessarily have all of the answers to be able to step back and be like, oh, kids, here's how you should do it. We don't have this stuff figured out ourselves. No, but that's relatively ordinary. That is relatively ordinary. All right. Well, I'm sorry. This did turn out to be a little bit of a bummer for your birthday. This was a great conversation. We're going to hang out at the brewery later, so I don't understand why you're apologizing. No. Good point. We got the real stuff out of the way. Now we can just have fun the rest of the day. Indeed. All right. Stay young. I'm too late for that. All right. Nice work. Yeah. Thanks, babe.